Hey, what's up? What's going on? It's me, Mary Jane. Please like, subscribe to my YouTube channel. It'd be greatly appreciated from the bottom of my heart. My peeps, my peoples. Thank you so much, everybody. So today we're gonna talk about Tupac Shakur's movie, All Eyez on Me. I must say that I did enjoy the movie. I did like the movie, but I also will say that I know a lot of history about Tupac Shakur. I watched a lot of videos. I watched a lot of documents. I watched a lot of documents where his friends, his family did videos about Tupac Shakur. You know, anything that was Tupac Shakur was involved in, I saw, and I read a lot of articles, a lot of different things on Tupac. So I'm happy that the movie did come out, and I'm happy part of the story was told. And also, only thing I could say is someone that, didn't grow up in the time of Tupac's era, or someone that does not know a lot of information about Tupac might get the wrong idea, or they don't have the whole story about Tupac. So that's the only thing that is a problem. And but I'm glad the movie was out. I'm glad the movie was told. And I did enjoy it. I enjoyed all the music in the song. They had SWV, I Get Weak. They had R. Kelly. They had all of Tupac's hits. They had Digital Underground hits. They had Das Effects was in his song was in there, and Sweet Blackberry Molasses, that song was in there. Was a lot of different songs that really like had you jumping and moving like you was in the club. So the beginning of the movie, it starts off with Tupac's mom being pregnant, and she's leaving the courthouse, and she is asked for an interview by reporters. And I must say, I was always happy, and I was just so ecstatic and so amazed, when Tupac Shakur mother defended herself back in the day, and she didn't have an attorney, and she was found not guilty. You know, um, Ignorance of the law is not an excuse, but sometimes once you're framed, you're framed. But it was just so wonderful to see how strong and powerful she was, because she came from the Black Panthers, and Moors, science is all in that mix as well. Knowledge, teaching people, health, wealth, prosperity, knowledge, all that good stuff. And one of the things I like to say about the Tupac movie is I just wish he was more protected and well insulated. That's the same thing Fatal, who Assassin said, R.I.P. Fatal, because he's gone. He's one of the members of the Outlaws, and he was like, I wish, and he said in his documentary right next to Afeni Shakur, R.I.P. Shafini Shakur. It's like everybody around Tupac has died or in jail. So not everybody, because not all the outlaws are dead or whatever. Not everybody that was on, I hope you get my drift. So, and he says that he wished he was there with Tupac, because Tupac was never in the street. He was never like that. He was like, only time Tupac was in the street when he was with me. And then, the movie didn't talk about how Gaddafi died or whatever. And one of the things about Gaddafi, they said that he's seen the shooters, he's seen the people that killed Tupac, and ultimately that's how he got killed. Even though he was killed in New Jersey, inside of a basement, that people believe that it was a setup. His family believes it's a setup as well. They do have a website for Gaddafi where you can donate, and they have his music, and him and Tupac and Gaddafi were related, actual blood cousins. And so that's one thing. And then everything with Digital Underground with Tupac Shakur, all that wasn't told. And all that wasn't told with, Tupac being married, because Tupac was married for a year. That part of Tupac wasn't told. And the way that he grew up, like he grew up with a lot of knowledge and wisdom and understanding, because he was raised in the Black Panthers as well, and he's seen the struggle. And also Tupac had did a lot of lectures in the conscious community in Harlem and in Brooklyn. There's videotapes of that which wasn't mentioned. So he was a civil rights leader as well. He was empowering the community as well. But things change. Things happen. There are designs that are set up to ultimately destroy a lot of individuals, so they can't make it to where they want to make it. There's a lot of traps, there's a lot of dangers, and sometimes you can't get out these traps and dangers, and it is what it is. But Well, so it starts off with Afeni Shakur. You know, she's pregnant with Tupac. She got out the day before she gave birth to Tupac, and she's given the press is asking her questions, and it was like, "Are you happy to be free, Miss Afeni Shakur, whatever?" And so she was like, "Free? I'm not free. It's not freedom. I don't have freedom. I'm not free." And to all the brothers and sisters that didn't see justice, that would never see justice and never have justice, I can't be free with that. So it was just like, she was, I mean, like, I have so much respect for her just to defend herself against murder charges, against, the cops, against, feds, and being able to defend herself without a lawyer. They always say a person that an attorney has a attorney has a fool for a client. When you act like your own attorney, you're a fool. You have a fool for a client. That's how the saying goes. I might got it backwards, but I haven't used that saying in so long. But she was able to prove that saying wrong and defend herself and get out of jail. So knowledge is power, especially if you're able to apply it. But sometimes you can apply knowledge and you'll have horrible results. But she was, she gave the speech, and it was just beautiful to see. And so, anyways, Mutulu Shakur, they show clips of him, but they don't really show what really happened to Mutulu Shakur and how he was haunted, how he was set up, how so many messed up things happened to him, his alliance, which is the Black Panthers, and a lot of the members, how they, tortured these people. And so, anyways, Matula was giving a speech in Harlem. Tupac was there in the audience, and one of the things Matula said is, you must live for something. You must be willing to die for something. And he says, I'd rather die standing on my feet to die on my knees. Words of wisdom right there. And if you go back to one of Tupac's lyrics, it takes a coward dies 1,000 times. A real man only dies once. A hero only dies once. And Tupac, that was one of Tupac's saying as well. So then you got the FBI that's harassing Afeni Shakur, but they don't really show all the things that the FBI, the government, did to Afeni Shakur, her family, and everybody else. There's documents on YouTube about it. There's documents on different sites that you can go on, how these people were tortured. So you can see where Afeni Shakur, after that, she ended up getting narcotics. And plus, narcotics was very popular back in the 80s, especially crack, cocaine, rock, and how, especially in LA and in New York, where they was dropping shipments of drugs off in the community and guns. And this has been proven. There's documents on that as well. That's on YouTube that you can research, where former DEA agents, former FBI agent, former prosecutors says that this really happened. It's not just a myth. So anyways, and so, then, what another good part of the movie was when Tupac Shakur was celebrating Christmas with, Matulo, his sister, and Afeni Shakur gave Tupac Shakur a notebook. Them faded old notebooks, the faded cover. I remember them notebooks, and it was for him to write down what's in his brain, to write down his knowledge and his wisdom, and he did, and he had a lot of success. And Tupac has helped a lot of people with his lyrics, with his words. And so anyways, you got that. And so then, Tupac, so then they end up moving, the feds come in, they cuss out Afeni Shakur, hit her. They do way much more than what is shown, way more harassment, way more stuff than that. But anyways, they move to Baltimore, and that's when, Tupac goes to a really good school, and his talent is developed. And he meets Jada Pinkett, and they become good friends and all the other good stuff. But then once he's getting comfortable, and and everything's going right for him once in his life, his mom tells him that they gotta move. It's because at this time of point she ends up getting on drugs, I believe. And so he was told that he had to move to Oakland, California. And I remember Oakland, California, and the way they depict Oakland, California when Tupac arrived is exactly how it was. I lived in Oakland, California, and I lived in Pomona, California, and it's ain't shit pretty there. And seeing that environment, growing up in that environment, coming from the Black Panthers environment, is some real shit that can fuck with your mind, where you're on one path and you have to switch up to another path, which is this hard. And every time I hear, you know, about Tupac, especially like his struggle, it really hurts because he should have been well protected. He should have been well insulated, just like, you know, Malcolm X should have been well insulated and well protected, just as well as Martin Luther King Jr. and Noble Drew Ali and Dr. What is his, I'm almost forgetting his name, and and it just makes me sad because he was really a leader. It's like every leader that Black people do have ultimately some way gets assassinated. Somewhere there's a conspiracy to have them killed, and they use the people of their color to orchestrate this catastrophe. And, you know, when someone's starving and fiending and you're saying that, hey, I'm gonna give you this money, I'm gonna give you this, I'm gonna give you that, or I'm gonna put charges on you, people, you know, do it. So anyways, you know, he moves to California. It's rough and it's tough out there. There's a lot of violence, but I don't want to forget D-Ray. D-Ray did a good job in his part, in his role. I really think, you know, 1 minute, you know, D-Ray was preaching to Tupac, and the next second he had to switch up and started beating somebody up over some stuff. So you can see where Tupac is developing this mentality where you can be one way, but sometimes you're going to have to switch up and change because you can't be the same way all the times, and things happen where you have to adapt to your new environment. You have to adapt to survive in the society. And, you know, so that was crazy. I almost cried. I love Tupac, so I almost cried because it is some of the parts of the movie, but knowing like the deeper things that really happened to Tupac, you know, when they touch the surface of it, but when you can go down deep into that surface, you see all the pain that this young man went through when he had such a brilliant mind. Brilliant. So anyways, and so, you know, he moves to California and he really focused on his music. He gets an interview with Shock G. You know, Shock G was just in the news, Digital Underground, Baby, Big Baby or whatever. And, you know, they do and their songs. And it's like, oh, these was the good time. You can see where, you know, his career was elevating, and he also at that time and point he was like, you know, I want to change things. I just don't want it to be about fun music. I want to write lyrics. I want to write things that affect the society, affect me, affect my family, affect everybody. So that's when he did Brenda's Got a Baby, and Digital Underground was down with him, and so he changed up the music because, you know, when he went to go talk to the record execs at Interscope, they was like, you know, we don't want to hear this or whatever. People are not trying to hear, they're looking for entertainment. Then one of the record exec daughter wanted his autograph, and that really touched Tupac as well. And so Tupac was like trying to, you know, convince them that this is what is needed and music. And it was like, and so Tupac was giving an example like, well, if I was in church and a guy, and then one of the executives says, what did he goes, he goes, I'm Jewish, and then Tupac says, Malal Shalom Shalom, and then he'll start laughing. So then he ended up getting signed. And he was talking about Brenda had a baby. He was like, he reads these posts all the time in the New York Times, what happened to these women, about protecting our women, helping our women. And now these posts and these stories are getting smaller and smaller, where nobody cares about his side of the world. Like, they go to their side of the world where it's all peace and nice and kumbaya, but not in his. So that was his focus on the music, but there's so many things that's transpired in his life where he had to switch up and adapt to the new situation. So he goes to, you know, Oakland, California, 1988. He sees somebody killed in front of him. Like, he is experienced, now he's seeing black on black violence, and he was taught that it's supposed to be black love and black this and black that. But now you got drugs, you got the drug dealers, you got all this stuff going on. So it's not a pretty picture. for Tupac and the things that he's seen when he was supposed to be protected and elevated because he wanted to lead the world. He wanted to stop the violence. He wanted us to control our own community, police our own communities. He wanted That's what Thug Life, stood for. It was an acronym basically. And he had the gangs, he had the Bloods and the Crips, the heads of the Bloods and the Crips sign like a peace treaty for it was a picnic that they had in California. I believe it was in 1992, where they was gonna stop raping, stop beating the women, selling drugs in front of the kids, and all that other stuff. And there was one really big member, I believe he was in the Crips, and he ended up getting arrested. And he was writing a book, and he reached out to Tupac. Tupac reached back to him, and they were going to start this big movement together, bigger than the first picnic that they had, where to call the truth a nationwide truce to stop killing each other, because that's the one thing he didn't want. He didn't want us to kill each other. He didn't want none of that. He wanted us to have our own society, to take over our communities and police our own communities, because every other nationality and race has a policeman in they police their community, and they're treated differently. So we need to treat ourselves differently and protect ourselves and protect where we come from and love from where we come from, and make it a safe place for us to prosper and move forward in life. And so then he gets a part of Interscope Records and all that other good stuff, and he meets up with Matulu in prison, and Matulu in prison was like, yo, you're a born leader. And basically he was, and he was like, you need to put more things out there for the community, to protect the community. Your words are very powerful, and you're being watched. It's just and Matulu just trying to give Tupac more knowledge and trying to get him on a safe path. But Matulu was in jail, so at this time it's like Tupac's alone and so many different words, and he's guiding himself through life by himself. And there's a lot of different players in a chess game. He don't know who to trust, who to believe, who's actually factual. But one thing he does believe is in black people, in the black community, because that's where he was raised from, knowledge and wisdom of self. And so it is what it is. His mom is on drugs and all that other good stuff. And then Tupac goes to his mom's house. They're having a cookout, and I have the window open, and a mosquito just flew in, so it's gonna be messing with me. And so, because I can't have the AC on and be on the microphone at the same time, because you won't hear me at all. I know I need central air. So anyways, the vice president, he's on TV talking about Tupac this, Tupac that. And it's just like, for him to get that type of attention, like his mom was telling Tupac, you're a leader, you have a bullseye on your back. Do you think the FBI and the feds and the government that came after us, you think that they're not going to come after you? Now you're next. Because it's almost like when I said in another video where the kids pay for the sins of their parents, and they're making him pay for the sins of his parents, because they know how strong and how powerful and how much wisdom that Afeni Shakur had or whatever, and Matulu Shakur, where that's why they were trying to destroy the message. And Tupac could really send that message. He had people following him, had people wanting to be like him. He had people that their ears were and their hearts were open to his message. I was one of them. So, Tupac was getting it, kind of not getting it, because he's still seeing this street shit going on, then he's also, not getting the money he's supposed to be getting. So it's just like, you have enemies all the way around you or everywhere. So it's just like, I just wish he just had more protection. I just wish, he had the armor of protection around him, because he didn't, And then so many people tried to play him and use him for his money, but in his heart, he believed in that love. And so anyways, his mom was trying to tell him, this is, they're coming for you. They're coming for you, Tupac, because they knew what ultimately he could be. That's why every black leader was assassinated. And, black people don't need a leader anymore. We all have to be leaders. That way they can't assassinate us all. So, anyways, then you get to, in 1993, Tupacalypse Now goes platinum, and everything is going good. He sees Suge when he's leaving Interscope. He's not too happy with Interscope or whatever. Then that's when he goes to the club. He sees Biggie and all this other stuff. And they show Biggie on stage with Tupac. You can actually see the videos on YouTube of Tupac and Biggie dancing and all that other good stuff. That's where you hear the DOS effects. And so, then on top of that, you see a news panel of women coming after Tupac and all this other stuff. I fucking hate that bullshit. I hated it when I seen it. I was like, oh, I hated it back then and I hate it now. Like how many bitches and hoes being said now. So, it is what it is. And so, they was playing R. Kelly music in the club and all this other stuff. And then, in 1993, Keep Your Head Up came out. And, the cops tried to say Tupac shot them. Oh, it was so much shit that this young man went through, from the Black Panthers to the drug abuse era, the gang, the violence, seeing some money, not seeing some money, going to, a school in Baltimore, trying to elevate himself. And he was just out here in this world trying to make it. And so many things came at him. So many things. Like, in his young life, he's seen so much and did so much that people would never be able to accomplish or do today. But he was tickling out way too young, man. Kill my dude. And I don't appreciate Mano shooting Tupac at all. And Mano, I know you love Tupac because you did a song about Tupac. This is my letter to Tupac. And I love that song that you did. This is a letter to Tupac that you did. But I don't like I don't think you should have took that role. No. You should have took another role. So anyways. So we see all that part about, Tupac being shot in the elevator, being set up. He's being set up with the rape. The cops are all in on this shit. Tupac thinking that his friends, betrayed him and all this other stuff, but which, at the end, he doesn't think that because him and Biggie was making a truce and all that other good stuff. And so that was November 30th, 1994, where he was robbed and shot and everything. Got shot once, got shot a couple of times, and then after that, the next time he gets shot, he's killed. They were out to get Tupac. They was out to assassinate him. They was, by any means necessary, they wanted to take him out. And Dr. Khalil Muhammad, that's the other leader that was assassinated that should have been well protected. And Dr. Sebi, he should have been well protected and insulated. Damn, we got to protect these people that got the knowledge and the wisdom to guide us. And then we can teach as well. But it's just like, damn, we got to have each other's back. Even though, you got to pick out the bad from the good. But he should have been well protected more than he was. And then it didn't even talk about how Suge Knight really didn't understand contracts, really couldn't read contracts, and Suge Knight was getting burnt as well. So when, Suge Knight threw this book at Tupac with the money or whatever, Suge Knight didn't even understand that book. They didn't even talk about how Suge Knight got the company Death Row. So there's a lot of things left out. And then just, Tupac being signed to Death Row. Like, that's a life sentence. From jail, from maximum security to death row. Then we got that trifling ass bitch and the trifling ass dudes that set Tupac up, with the rape charges like we see it today. It's been played out over and over and over about these women that say that they're raped and they wasn't raped. They just go after stars, and they use certain in particular women to take down famous and big people that are actually out here doing a change, and they used her, and he got locked up. And Tupac addresses the judge or whatever. You didn't even look me in my eye, or you looked at my tattoos. Then the judge sentenced him to a maximum security for touching, because he wasn't convicted of rape or sodomizing, or he was convicted of indecent touching, and he gets sentenced to a maximum prison. They was trying to break him. They was trying to change him into what they was afraid of, but they didn't want him to be that black power anymore. So if he was going to be a gangster, be a gangster. And he got shot up. what are you supposed to do if you think that, these people are your peoples and they set you up? If you believe that at the time, because you don't know, everything's changing, people moving fast around you, everything's changing. You're going from this place to that place. There's no solid foundation for Tupac at this time. There's no balance for him because he doesn't know who the freak is around him. But he trusts and he loves his brothers and sisters. But some of these brothers and sisters were used to destroy him. And it really pisses me off. So anyways, so like the movie didn't, so some of the stuff I'm talking about, the movie don't get into, so it's just like, but, when you do like a movie about someone famous, someone like a leader, like Tupac, the guy that played Tupac or whatever, he kind of looked like Tupac, especially with certain different, shadows of shades of the camera, the way the camera, caught a glance of this side or that side of him, it looked like Tupac. But it's really hard to embody an actor like Tupac. But they could have found somebody that could have embodied Tupac more. But you know what? I think it was his first acting gig. I'm not sure, but he did the best that he could do. And I also, Matulu was played by homeboy from The Wire. I forgot his name. Now, if he was a lot younger, he could have played that Tupac role because he's a really good actor. Michael B. Jordan could have played that role really well. Even Lorenz Tate, even though he's older, I don't know. You don't have to be Tupac, but look like Tupac. Just embody the role, And I think he really tried to embody the role, but it just didn't come off. Or maybe just because it's just, I'm a critic. And then also when Tupac did the guy that was playing Tupac did the movie Juice, the line that he used, he didn't even say the correct line from the movie Juice. So that was like, okay, what's going on? And then there was also supposed to be an iPhone. I didn't see the iPhone in the movie. A lot of people were saying it was an iPhone. I didn't see the iPhone or whatever. But he didn't say the words correctly from Juice, like the way, because that's a legendary line, and you can go right on YouTube and see how it's correctly said. So, oh my goodness. So what else? And also, they didn't tell the story really about the security guard. That's Tupac's security guard. Him and that dude, his main security that was always with him for a few years, really protect Tupac, really was around Tupac. And also the day that Tupac was killed, that he was told to drive back, not to be in a car with Tupac, not to have a gun on him, and all the things that he said, none of that was added into the movie because he was there at the scene, and he said a lot of different things. His book is actually online too as well. And also the former LAPD cop, he now says he's not living anymore either. He now says, before he died or whatever, he said that he believed he was set up by the LAPD, which was more than LAPD, that it was the government that actually set up Tupac. And his latest thing, and I think I read that like 6 years ago, but it was like everybody that's connected to that time of Tupac being murdered or have any information has been killed or dead or committed suicide. So, Suge is going blind. He's in jail. He's facing a world of trouble, and there's nobody there to bail him out. So it is what it is. A lot of people didn't like Suge or whatever, but he just stood for, at the time, like a black man having his own record label, his own company, even though there's different ways that he did get the company, and he didn't understand a lot of contracts, which was, said. And so I'm going to have this fucking mosquito bother me. So anyways, I don't get bit by mosquitoes at all because my diet is really vegan. So it's like before, when I was eating like regular food or whatever, I used to get bit. Like they used to, I would be like, oh my God, I must have fairy blood because these mosquitoes want to bite me or whatever. But since I changed my diet and what I eat, I haven't been bit by a mosquito yet. And I was out in the bushes, not like in the bushes, but out. And everybody else around me get bit, but not me, because they can't smell my blood no more because my blood is clean. So anyways, back. So, Suge Knight, and then the scene where, the jail scene, and then the reporter, They could have got a better report. I know he did well. The jail scene was horrific, and then they didn't even show like the really big famous people at the time in the '90s that came to visit Tupac in prison and stood up for Tupac in prison. You know, they didn't show. They didn't show, especially Danny from Who's the Boss. I think that's his name. And there's another famous actress and somebody else and all that other good stuff. So that was left out. And you know, Tupac did, you know, what happened, how he heard the Biggie song "Who Shot Me," and then how one of the characters said he could have did that years ago. That guy that plays, I don't know his name, but he's in like all the black movies, whatever. I like him though. He played in a lot of movies. But anyways, so the prison scene, that bullshit. And then, you know, Tupac did talk about like the biggest gang in LA as the correctional officers. And you see how but they didn't really show how they really treated him. And, you know, Tupac's mother, when she visited him in jail, she was telling him how they didn't give her medical care or anything. They wanted her seed to die in her. They tried to torture her. And, you know, so it was a lot that this young man went through at a young age, you know what I mean? And it's so different now. Like, you know, you got the young men now wearing skirts and dresses, tight jeans, showing their ass, their penises, wearing lipstick, hairbands. But back then you had men standing up to be men. You know, Tupac was a man. When he did the song "Hit 'Em Up," it wasn't no Jay-Z or no Drake or none of this beef that they be having on when they want to disguise who they talking about. They don't want to call any names. Tupac said names. You know, E.D.I said names. Outlaw said names. Like, they directed to you because they was direct dudes, direct men. They didn't want anybody to get confused. They didn't want to be misunderstood. They said direct names, what they wanted. They said name by name, 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 name. Today, we can't say names. You know why? Because we scared. But anyways, I ain't scared. I ain't never scared. So anyways, so all in all, the movie was alright. It was alright. Since I knew it was gonna be everything in the movie, but you know, having the black actors in the movie, and you know, it being a movie about Tupac Shakur, you know, 2 decades later, and they're showing, you know, they played the All Eyez on Me song. They didn't even address that Tupac and Dr. Dre didn't get along, and Dr. Dre did not work on every song of his album. Dr. Dre only worked on a few songs because you know, Dre didn't really want to fuck with Tupac or whatever, and they didn't address the beef with him and Snoop, you know, as well. But I think it's E.D.I. I don't know if that was him in the movie from Outlaws, but that shit looked like him. Humpty Dumpty, that looked like him. The lady that played, what is her name? Will Smith's wife. She kind of looked like her, and kind of. They could have got a better person to play Tupac's mom. The guy that played Biggie looked like Biggie. I don't know who Mano looked like Mano. And the girl that was Quincy Jones' daughter, she looked like the girl, whatever. So anyways, it is what it is. I enjoyed the movie because I enjoy Tupac, but it also did bring me back to a place of sadness, of just like, damn, you know, they took a real one away, and how he was taken away, and all the pain and torture he went through just to try to make it in society, just try to help people in his society, and how many obstacles, how many tragic things happen along the way for him, where he said I'm gonna die rich, but I'm not gonna even get a chance to enjoy it. They didn't, you know, show about his mom making sure that she gets his royalty, his money was correct, all that other good stuff. So it was just like, I enjoyed it. I'm not gonna lie, I did enjoy the movie. But what do you expect when you have Hollywood putting money behind it to tell the story? Now, if I put a movie together and it's my money, I could tell it any way I want. You know what I mean? And I wish that, you know, more people were involved in the writing of Tupac's movie that was close. That's one thing. So to all you people out here that are legends, please start doing your biographies and start letting people know the true story of you and write it. Even though you don't think you're probably gonna go, you don't want somebody else telling your story and it be off point or off key, or the most important things you want mentioned or not mentioned. And it never said. There's been rumors that Tupac did have a child. I know there was a girl going around that looked like Tupac, but I just wonder if Tupac really ever had a child, and is that child protected? It says no, he didn't have any kids or whatever. So then you go to him meeting up with Faith. The girl kind of did look like Faith a little bit, so I get that. The guy that played Money looked like Money. Shock G looked like Shock G. So they were kind of on point with the characters or whatever. So it was a lot that went on. So I guess all in all, like say, I would give the movie a 5 out of 10. I'll give it a 5. And if you've never seen, if you don't really know any information about Tupac, and this is your first time seeing the movie or know anything about Tupac, you would probably think that it was an 8 or a 9. But if you really know about Tupac and you're really a critic, you'll probably give the movie a 2. But you can't please everybody, and he needs more than 2 hours. So hopefully, what else did I like? I like when Suge Knight, when he signed to Death Row, whatever, he had no other choice. Suge Knight had to come and get him out of jail. It was $2 million. And he was supposed to give 3 albums, and he did give the 3 albums and showed how rough and tough Suge was. And then somebody was in Suge's face yelling or whatever, and Suge said, "You better get the fuck on my face or I'll bite your nose off." I was like, what? There was a lot of funny parts in the movie, but it just really wasn't that funny because if you love Tupac, like I love Tupac, I just felt a lot of pain. But and then his mom's not here to give her okay on the movie or whatever, and then it didn't show Tupac's half brother a lot or Tupac's sister a lot. It didn't give any details on them, and Tupac loved his family, and Tupac took care of a lot of people, and he was close to them as well. So and then Suge Knight and him being Suge Knight or whatever, and then the guy that played Snoop kind of looked like Snoop. Some of the guy that played Daz looked like Daz. So I don't know. That's it. I don't know. There's probably more I could talk about, but I just get so overwhelmed when I go into that emotion of Tupac and how he should have still been here, how a lot of people should still be here, but he was just such a great mind, and there's so many no good mother suckers still around this earth just cackalaking along when you really had a visionary that was here, and he wasn't protected like he should have been protected, and he's gone. But anyways, peace. I'm out. I love you, Tupac. R.I.P.